Hello, this is Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook, and I am here to do part one of two videos that talks about books in my bookshelf that I wanted to read and that I want to read in 2020. I continue to buy books every year. I think that I did better this year, but I'm not really sure. I think I did take a lot more books out of the library than I purchased. But what happens is I still have books that I haven't read. And I know that I'm speaking to the choir because I know you all do it on some level or degree of have books that you've bought and you haven't read. But I have so many, and what I wanted to do was to pick 12 books and then just throughout the year read them. I could read one a month. I could read two in a month. Whatever the thing is. If I don't get to all the 12, it's okay. I'm not giving myself a hard, fast TPR. I'm just trying to highlight and bring to the forefront in my mind books that I wanted to read for a while now and that I haven't gotten to. So without further ado, let's get to the books. And some of them I have to read the backs because I can't remember exactly the detail of the books, but bear with me. Okay, so this first one that I wanted to talk about is called The War That Forged a Nation, Why the Civil War Still Matters, and it's by James McPherson. Now, if you look at this one, you're going to notice that this is here, a lovely bookmark. Well, what happened is I started the book. I really enjoyed the book, but then I just didn't finish it. I jumped on to something else. And I think this was one that was Ta-Nehisi Coates had recommended as a good one to read about the Civil War, because I'm really interested in learning more about the Civil War beyond the little blurb that we got in U.S. history in high school, right? So I'm going to say this. I don't know if other people have that same problem, but when I read books that are nonfiction, that are something that I feel I want to walk away with information, I put way more pressure on myself. And that's why I go so slow, because I will read it and I feel like, okay, I should write that down. That's just something I should remember. And it turns into an academic read more so than, I don't want to say it's going to be a pleasure read, but more so than anything else. It's just, me writing. And I can't say that I'm not going to still do this with this book, because this will be one of the foundation ones that I start out with. But I just have to either look at this book as a book that's going to take a longer period of time, because I'm going to do that, or just try to slow down on some of the things that I write down. But this one came highly recommended by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I definitely want to get to this one in 2020. It just has to happen. The next one, a lot of you all might have heard of. No, you all have heard of. Is Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. I know Dee Dee read it, and when I had mentioned some other book that I had read, she had said, "Oh, you should read this book," and I said I own it. I've shamefully owned this for a very long time, and even to take it a step further, I saw Jamie Ford, who is the author. That has to be like 2 years ago. They had a hardcover book written by him, another book, and it was signed, and it was in the bargain thing for $5. And I was like, well, I'm gonna get it, because I know everybody said this is great, and it's signed, so it has to be something. I haven't read that one either, so I need to get on this one and read it. But this one is set in, I think it goes back and forth. It's in 1986, but I think it goes back to 1940 with World War II and the treatment of the Japanese Americans in this country. I believe that's what this kind of does. And I think it has a kind of a love story in it too, so it might be a little tearjerker. I'm not sure, but yeah, here it says a wartime era Chinese-Japanese variation on Romeo and Juliet. And it says the period detail is so revealing and so well rendered, and that was the Seattle Times that said that. So I'm looking forward to reading it. I keep looking at it, and I just, I'll get to it. So 2020, let's do it. This book I got years ago on book outlet. I just love the cover, and I was just buying books by Black authors. This one was written by a Black is written by a Black author called Nisi Shawl, and it's called Ever Fair, and it is a science fiction novel, and I believe it's set in the Congo. So I'm really, really intrigued about reading this one. I just didn't I think it was it's a Nebula Award finalist. It won a lot of or was finalists in a lot of awards, and I know that she's also on I bought a anthology, and I believe she either edited it. I think she edited it. So I want to get to this. Long and the short, I haven't read it, but I would like to read it. I think it would be kind of interesting because even though it's fiction, it will give you some historical aspects that will give me, I have no insight about the history of the Congo, so that will be a fun one to read. And that's book 3. Book 4, I remember showing you guys this when I got it. This is an author that I really like. I've read all of her books, and since she started way back. And when this one came out, I was super excited. And again, I don't know what happened. Something happened, then I jumped onto something else. Or maybe it was a challenge, so I dumped it. But this is Sujata Masay's The Satapur Moonstone, and it's a Pervine mystery novel. This is a book 2. The first one was called The Widows of Malabar Hill, which I really liked. But I remember seeing somebody online that didn't really like it. So, with every book, you're going to find people that like something and people that don't like something. So I don't let that get to me too much. But I know somebody didn't like this one that much. So I'm kind of curious. She based it, I think, in the 1920s in India. And it's about, this one continues with Pervine, who is... she's I forgot the word, but she's like an attorney basically in those times, and does research, and she works with her father, and because of the time period, it's kind of harder for women to be acknowledged and respected in that profession, but she's really good. And then in the first one, I remember she was able to actually solve the case. Her gender actually helped her, because I think there were some people, because of religious beliefs, the women were not able to speak to men, and so it was easier for her to be able to get in and get the information. So this one I know is a different setting or different story, but continuing on with her. So I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed the first one, so I'm pretty sure this one's going to be great as well. And I even got her, she sent me the book plate with my name on it and her name in it, so I'm pretty excited about that. This one I mentioned to you guys on my birthday. I bought this. My husband took me, was it this birthday? Or I think it was the last birthday. Ooh, this could be a whole year older. I saw this on the table. I love the cover. And then I was like, oh, it's shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. It's Essie Edugian? How's that? I gotta get pronunciations of these authors in 2020. It's called Washington Black. There's a couple of different covers, but this one's really fantastic. And it says 11-year-old George Washington Black, or Wash, a field slave on a Barbados sugar plantation, is initially terrified when he's chosen to be the manservant of his master's brother. To his surprise, however, the eccentric Christopher Wilde turns out to be a naturalist, explorer, inventor, and abolitionist. Soon Wash is initiated into the world where two people separate by an impossible divide can begin to see each other as humans. But when a man is killed and the bounty is placed on Wash's head, they must abandon everything and flee. Spanning the Caribbean to the frozen far north, London, Morocco, and to Morocco, Washington Black is a story of self-invention, and betrayal of love and redemption, and of a world destroyed and made whole again. Yeah, who doesn't think that doesn't sound exciting? So I'm really looking forward to this one. Gonna happen, 2020. 2019 was my year of becoming fascinated with Frederick Douglass. I know people talk about him in the past, but this was the year that I became obsessed with him. I bought a graphic novel, which I don't have with me right now, that is fantastic. I bought this book used. I bought another one that's really beautiful. It's like faux leather with him engraved on the front. I'm really fascinated with learning more about him. And what better way than to read the Penguin Classics, The Portable Frederick Douglass by John Stauffer, and it's edited also by Henry Louis Gates Jr. And I love, you know, they said in the book when I read, is one of the most photographed persons and most recognized worldwide in whatever period. I remember it says something, I can't remember the exact statistic. The fact that he as a black man was able to actually get so many portraits done of himself is also impressive as well, because you know we read about a lot of black people in history and we don't really have many pictures of them, right? It wasn't like they were just standing around like their iPhones, because nobody had phones to take pictures like that. So I love when I see pictures. This one is just so stunning of him. But this one is supposed to be a compact volume offering a full course on the diverse career of Frederick Douglass. So I'm looking for it. It is a chunker now. Y'all know me, right? So this chunker may just be that I start reading it and maybe I read a chapter and then by the end of the year I will finish the whole book. I don't know. Or maybe it's so good that I just read it fast. But that's the last one. And I'll see you guys. I'm going to film part 2 and right after this. So don't worry about me being dressed the same, because I'm going to be wearing the same outfit, because I'm going to turn it off and turn it on again and do it again. So I'm going to do the next 6 books. But these are the ones. So this one, Washington Black, the sidebar Moonstone, a fantasy Everfair. I didn't like go ahead and pick different genres. I have every genre pretty much except for horror in my bookshelf, but I just picked books. I didn't make it a hard project. I just I have enough that I have to read, so who cares as long as I get some done. The Hotel and Bittersweet, and The War That Forged a Nation. So those are the first six books that I want to try to get done in 2020. And when I do, I will let you know. I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a great day. Bye.